Alright, I guess we're gonna finally do this video. When I reached 100,000 subscribers on Valentine's Day 2016, a lot of things had been building up and I just needed a change. The day prior, I asked my followers on Twitter what kind of special video would they like to see for the occasion. This was the results, and this is that video. But I couldn't make it back then because I wasn't done becoming the person I wanted to be and the person I wanted to share. When you're in the limelight, people look at your example, and events in my own personal life had really made me sensitive to that. I had to do something first, make one of the hardest decisions in my life. I had to set an example. And now, facing the consequences of that choice, it's time. I've been trying to make this video for almost a year now, and just only now found the words. My name's Dale Winslow. I made this channel, Think Fact, and this is a little bit of my story about me and who I am, and why I left YouTube at 100,000 subscribers so that way one day I could hopefully stay for good. I made this channel back in August of 2013. It was going to be my last attempt to recapture success I once had. In 2007 and 8, my father went through a devastating divorce with my then stepmother. We lost too much. Family, friends, stability, our home. We would move in with my grandparents, who to this day I just can't thank enough for being there for us. It would be in their home where I made my first YouTube account, and it changed my life. I would meet people from all around the world, people who loved the same things I loved. I'd become part of the competitive Pokemon battle scene, and by 2010 I had close to 700 mostly active subscribers. People who joined my community brought out the best in me. I made videos because I loved it, and I cared about the people who wanted to be part of that. I was just as active in the comments section back then as I still am today. They helped me out when I was desperate for happiness, alone, and unmotivated. You see, I was in special ed English from 5th to 7th grade, in part due to my mother and father constantly fighting, causing many personal problems, but also conditioned by the death of my childhood best friend in the 4th grade. I would first officially learn about it in an auditorium full of people after hearing rumors by kids on the bus that morning. They took time out of the first part of the day to bring all the kids to the auditorium and address it. And then they had me stand up with everybody looking at me. And they apologized to me for her death, and then they escorted me out of the room, everybody still looking, and had me leave for the day. Her death and that response alienated me, along with being put into special ed as well. I had a really hard time making friends after that. I became weird, and I had the hardest time making friends with people because I just tried too hard for the longest time. It exacerbated the problems of a kid who was already struggling at home. But with that, and even a divorce, YouTube, and more specifically the people themselves on the platform, they helped me in a way that a lot of the adults around me couldn't even see. I wasn't stupid or stunted, mild dyslexia maybe, but I was just alone and unmotivated. After less than a year into making YouTube videos, I requested and eventually pulled myself out of special ed. One of the only kids, or so they say, to have done so. That's the impact that YouTube had on me. But at the channel's peak in 2010, a bully at my high school who had a long-standing lack of empathy for me somehow found out about it. And he would make a massive scene in front of 50 or so of my classmates about me playing Pokemon and making videos over it. Their reactions, laughing, mortified me. After panicking all day about it, I would delete every single video using my phone once the school day ended, in order to prevent any of them from being able to see it once they got home. Years worth of work, gone. And I don't even think they had the unlist feature yet, or at least on the phone app. Regardless, I panicked. What hurt most was losing almost all the people I cared about. I left them in silence because I was too afraid to post any sort of video letting them know what was going on, because it could have potentially given away that I was the one who owned the channel. That memory has been actually part of the reason why I've been so moved to make this video. It's genuinely bothered me not to, despite how deep some of the stuff is. But, of course, a year later, a big Pokemon phase hit my high school, and all the kids were playing it. even the ones who laughed at me. They were right there, playing Pokemon, right in front of me. By then, it was too late to come back. I tried, but people just moved on. My classmates laughed at me because they accepted a social attitude. That being fake is okay, so long as you're still being accepted by your peers, regardless of the consequences it may have on other people. I refuse to be like that. I started to struggle again in school. I became more sensitive to bullying over the following years. I was pretty vulnerable at the beginning of it all, but I began to see how important it was to set a positive example for the people around you. Because when people look up to you, follow your lead, like they did with that bully, you can shape the attitude of people around you over things, good or bad. Over the following years, I would try to make other videos on new channels. Not stuff that I loved, but more so stuff that I was trying to recapture that audience I once had. Again, it was gone. They were not interested in bad skit videos and such. Only one of them I kept in contact, well, some contact with, all the way to today. I began to stop caring about YouTube around the end of 2012. I would take a long break from it and try other things. I would go on to compete in a Skills USA competition for video editing. And out of 9 teams, I was the only one that was self-taught. I managed to get 3rd place. I actually have the medal right here. It really means a lot to me. But it helped reinvigorate something in me. The passion started up again. I knew if I wanted something to work, I had to love it. So I could be around people who loved the same things I did, learning about facts and the context behind things. I even made a sappy yearbook quote over this stuff because it was on my mind at the time. And these feelings would lead to the creation of this channel, Think Fact. I started making fact videos, learning as much as I could for my own content and from other EDU YouTubers like Michael Stevens from Vsauce. From August to December, I would actually earn my first 1,000 subscribers, and it actually occurred on my birthday, no less. Most of them actually came from the comments section of Vsauce videos, but around the time it was starting to get successful, I felt that it'd be cool to make a little bio video over Michael himself, because there weren't really all that many well-known ones or popular ones out there. So I made a video for them. In hindsight, it was maybe a little weird, but that video also helped propel my channel. And even Michael himself took notice of it. From January to May of 2014, my channel would reach 10,000 subscribers. And from there, my channel was growing quite rapidly. I was starting to get some recognition within the EDU community. Even Michael Stevens put me in a video of his, the person I looked up to the most. I knew that one day, I hoped that I could actually have him in one of mine. All while this was happening, I was actually doing better in school than I ever had before. I found a whole new love for learning, and I was making Dean's List. My family, my classmates, my school, my community even, were all starting to take notice of me. I was actually getting recognized in public. I've had it maybe happen around 5 or 6 times, with it being from kids to even elderly people. And everyone saw big things for this small town educator. I found the confidence to apply to a bigger university, and they accepted me, and I transferred there. But most of all, was making videos for hundreds upon hundreds of people who I could talk to and love the same things I did. It was genuinely a dream come true. I would spend all day in my comments section after I posted a video trying to get back to as many people within a day or so span. And I still do it, and I love it. It is genuinely the best part about YouTube for me. The comment section, who would have thought? YouTube will become a bigger and bigger part of my life. And people who watched, some of you guys, were starting to get more interested in who I am. And that made me think about what kind of example was I becoming? Was I being a good role model? Because I wanted to be. What do you want to accomplish during your stay on our little blue rock? I really would like to be a role model. Live the life that you want, that you preach. Be what you say. To me, life is so special, and I want to show people that they can use their life to accomplish great things. And it doesn't mean you have to change the world, but you can even just change a person's life, and that can... Well, as the channel got bigger, all the work that went into making videos started to create trade-offs. I began putting more time into making complex videos. until it got to a point where I was spending more time researching and editing and scripting and filming videos than actually doing my schoolwork itself. I was getting it done, but the quality was dropping, and not to mention my social life really took a beating. And though 2015 was the best year in terms of my channel's growth and this community's growth ever, it was the worst year academically for me. Things hit the fan when one night while I was working hard on a video, I jotted down the wrong time for a final. I wrote down the time that the final ended, not when it began, and I showed up late. And it was an English course of all classes. The professor, Dr. Rogers, still let me take it because I always got my assignments in on time and she liked me. But even in other classes, I had one where I got my first and only C the entire time I was in college. The professor was almost never there, always out on call, and I got sloppy with the readings, and there were just three tests. That was all the assignments the entire class. It was rough. That said, I was becoming overwhelmed. I was embarrassed. How could I be a representative of the YouTube EDU community and not even put my own education first? What was once bringing out the best of me, motivating me to do better than I ever have academically and so forth, I was letting motivate me to do the literal exact opposite. I knew if I kept going down this path, things were going to get worse and worse. On top of that, I watched as two separate roommates at different times failed out of university, and there was nothing I could do to help them. They prioritized other things, and that messed with me too. I really feel bad. And it's not uncommon to see people on YouTube completely drop out of college for YouTube, even ones within the EDU community. I wasn't going to do that. At the end of the year 2015, that English professor who let me take the final that I missed said she saw a lot of potential in me and invited me to be part of a 400-level British literature course. One of the hardest classes for English undergrads. Everybody in it would be an English major, and here I was, an anthropology major, with very few English classes under my belt at the time. I would have said no. I had never taken a really challenging English course in my life. And there's no way I could have balanced that with YouTube. But I really wanted to take it. I really wanted to. So I said yes. I love language and words, and I was curious, what are things that they could teach me that I didn't even know that I didn't know? And all of that built up until Valentine's Day 2016. I had to pick. I couldn't truly invest and do the best I possibly could at both of them at the same time. On one hand, I could lose all of these people I care about. Again, my dream job is literally in my grasp. Focusing more on school could come at the consequence of momentum, growth, and financial security. I could ruin an opportunity by a professor who really went out of their way to help me. But I mean, come on, 100,000 subscribers, earning almost 100 new people a day. But would that make me fake? Would I be a hypocritical example to people, like that bully was? On the other hand, I slowed down and potentially stopped making YouTube videos altogether in order to prioritize my own education as much as I would recommend anybody else do. Seize this amazing opportunity my professor offered to me. Challenge myself. I leave YouTube, but I come back once in a blue moon just to let people know I still want to be here, that I still care about you guys. And I get to leave on my own terms. To be true to myself, be an example I would want to be in front of a massive audience of people. Well, even if I lose most, if not all of them. Again. It was a really hard choice at the beginning, but it became easier the more I thought about it. And in the end, I chose school and to challenge myself. So I started to prepare for a final video that I always wanted to make. I was toying around with the idea back in December of 2015 when I accepted that invitation to the class. Because if this was it and I was really dedicated to that choice, I wanted to go out with a boom. I built up the courage to reach out to Michael Stevens from Vsauce about a week or so after reaching 100K. I asked him if he wanted to be part of a special video, and he said yes. He took time to record me lines in the midst of moving across the entire world. I mean, for me. He did that for me. It took a lot longer to make the video than I thought now that I was putting school first. And of course, I had to set the bar for this video higher than any I'd ever made before. There was a lot of re-scripting. And in the end, it all took about 6 months to put together. But I did it. And I made the video Our Words Real, my favorite video I've made as of yet. In all of this time, I was also becoming more involved with my university. I even did a TED Talk. I was initially going to be doing a talk over my civilizations video, but about a day or so prior to when I was actually supposed to present, and have in mind I have to have this all memorized and have a PowerPoint for it, they asked me to change it and make it about my YouTube channel. And I loved it. I had a wonderful time. I also would go on to join some interesting online communities and try working with just random people on cool projects. By the time I graduated in May of 2018, I was almost always getting A's in my classes. I got an A in that 400 level British literature class. And I learned that Anne Radcliffe is an amazing writer. The Italian is spectacular, at least in my personal opinion. I would go on to take many more English courses after that. I actually managed to do so well, they let me waiver a mandatory 101 English course if I managed to ace all my higher level mandatory English classes. And I did it. And I took a subject that I struggled the most with growing up, and I proved that I could actually succeed in it. And I would graduate with a minor in English because I was motivated by you guys. If I could push myself like that, all things considered in my life, maybe, just maybe, that might help motivate someone else to try to do the same. Well, I did it. My channel was stunted, and while I was away, I tried to post just enough to let people know I cared and I wanted to be here, despite leaving for a few years. Some of the dedication that you guys have had has made me speechless. Thank you. I initially planned on making YouTube a small side hobby. I'd get work somewhere and just make videos from time to time. But it's never that easy, is it? At the moment, things have gotten hard since I've graduated. I've been plagued by bad luck. A group I worked for writing scripts had to downsize and I got laid off. My car was totaled by rust. Apparently it was a ticking time bomb and could have fallen apart in a very bad way if I was going too fast. But now that means I also have to look for new career options locally. And a new car. I should have just jumped back into YouTube once school ended, but I think I was just too ready to believe that this ship had sailed. But I knew I needed to make this video before I felt comfortable truly committing myself to this channel. I am gonna make it through this rough spell. At the moment, I'm only about $600 short a month from being able to do this full time. I have managed to budget that as my minimum. I could do this. I could actually do YouTube full time. I got about 2 months to figure out how I'm gonna try to make up that difference. So, there's been a lot to this video, but I wanna say this. I hope this backstory can have a positive impact on people. At the end of the day, I can feel comfortable working on YouTube with my head held up high. Because in my core, despite it being the harder decision, I feel like I made the right one. I feel comfortable representing the YouTube EDU community. And if all of this can have a positive impact on people who watch my content, who are part of this community, then money or not, growth or not, fame or not, I'm happy. And thank you for listening. Oh, as a final note, I did do an unboxing video for the silver play button back on May 13th, 2016. Let's try this out. Why are you doing it here? Because this is my grandparents' house, and this is where YouTube started for me. This place has been a big part of my life, and I thought it'd be a kind of a great place to open up something that's really special. So I'm gonna try not to cut myself. I'm sorry I never got around to sharing it. I wanted to make it a special occasion with my grandparents. The very ones who opened up their home to us, where YouTube started for me. It was a short video, not too showy, but I wanted it to be for them and for them to be part of it, and to let them know what their example and care blossomed into. And with all that said and done, my name's Dale, this is Think Fact, and remember, never stop learning and thinking. Take care.